Alright, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from my good friend Jason Voorhees 2011, who asked me to do a very interesting concept. As you guys know, I really enjoyed for the most part, the Batman series of one-shots called Batman One Bad Day, which were focused on 8 separate villains. But here, he asked me to do a take on that, a Batman One Bad Day kind of story, or rather stories, and focus on slashers instead. So, I picked out 8 slashers, to go along with the theme of the One Bad Day series. I picked 8 different slashers, and I wanted to do 8, so these are going to be 8 different stories set around 8 different killers. But before we go any further, as always, if you guys would like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below. Head on over to my Patreon. You guys can start sending me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this, and let's get started. So starting off, we have a new kid on the block. We got starting things off. We got the new kid on the block. We got Art the Clown. I was watching Terrifier 2 when I was about to do this video, so I was like, you know what? I'll do Art the Clown. So in this story for Art, this story is set around. I call this story "Making Art," and essentially what it is that a artist has been inspired by the brutal killings. A sculptor. This sculptor has been inspired by just the brutal killings of Art the Clown, and essentially he starts not killing people, but more like making sculptures of Art's murders. He starts making all these different sculptures and forms of Art's most brutal murders that have been recovered by police files, and he makes them into these more twisted versions of the victims. Obviously, this has kind of a division among the art world, where some people in the art world it's a tour de force. It gives out the brutality of mankind. It's wonderful. But then there are other people who are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Actual sane people would be like, these people are just died less than a year ago, and you're out here making fucking art of these people. You're making sculptures of these people in their most painful moments. Of course, the sculptor thinks he's done nothing wrong, and he's like, I've captured the essence of them. I forever immortalized them, as Art has for them. Of course, the victims of the families of Art's killings are all up in arms about it. However, this has attracted the attention of Art himself, and the guy is just being stalked by Art the Clown, until it goes about as well as you think it does for this guy. Until Art, I had kind of a Tales from the Crypt kind of ending, where Art the Clown just tortures this guy, and for hours, and then it's supposed to be the start of a new showing, the start of a new art showing, and when everyone goes in, they see the sculptor, his body is all twisted apart, and sewed back together, and it says, Art, scribbled on the plaque for it. So there you go. There's the first one. The second one is about Billy from Black Christmas. So this one is about. This one is called Next Christmas, and this one is that Billy has fled the sorority house he was haunting and goes to plague a new sorority house in a neighboring state. In here, Billy has been tormenting this new sorority, who is now a little more proactive. So this group actually goes to do battle with Billy rather than just run and scream from him, and that's how that story goes. And of course, Billy is just murdering them all. So there you go. And next one is Ghostface. So this one is called The Spinoff. So in this story, we are far from Woodsboro, far from New York, and in here we have a small Oklahoma town. It's a small town out in Oklahoma, And essentially what happens is that there are a series of brutal killings in the town, and the person behind it is always calling and asking, what's your favorite scary movie? But the thing of it is, he's not targeting... The victims make no sense, because the victims range from like 18-year-olds to like 40-year to like 50-year-olds, and people even in their retirement homes. And even like he keeps breaking into police. He even breaks into a police officer's home and kills the whole family. Essentially, the survivors have to like go through who are part of an AV club. The main core is like made of an AV club, and they determine that they're in a spin-off, meaning that the rules are out the fucking window. And yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised. Like I wouldn't actually. I take that back. I wouldn't be shocked if we didn't get like a Scream spin-off movie and kind of play with the idea of spin-offs. So, yeah. So that's that. So there is that story. Next up, we have Axel Palmer, aka the miner from My Bloody Valentine. So in this story, what has happened is that it's been 5 years since the Bloody Valentine, as it's called in Valentine's Bluffs, and Axel has not been seen in 5 years. Everyone assumed that he died after losing all that blood from cutting off his arm, but in actuality, Axel's been in a mental ward. He got captured by the police and sent to a mental ward after which, and now he's just kind of in the mental ward battling his demons and keeps seeing the miner and warring it out in his head about it, until eventually he does break down and become the miner once again. So there is that. So we've gone through half, so let's talk about our next half, the next four. Next up, we have Norman Bates. Yeah, we're going all the way back to Psycho for this one. So for this one is a story I call Motel Hell. So in this story, a group of bikers have decided to stay at the Bates Motel for the night while they're on their way to a biker rally in a nearby town. But it's too late; they're running low on gas, so they stay at the Bates Motel. And what they essentially do is just terrorize Norman and throw stuff, break stuff, until eventually Mother's had enough, and it leads to some gory results. Anyway, so there's Norman's. Next up, we have Leatherface. So Leatherface's story is called All in the Family. In this one, a house raid has occurred at the Sawyer house, and everyone but Leatherface was captured and arrested, leaving Leatherface alone. However, Leatherface refuses to let his family go, and grabs his chainsaw and heads out to rescue his family. Yeah, it's like, imagine Taken, but with a chainsaw wielding cannibal maniac as the protagonist. Instead of Liam Neeson, you get Leatherface. That's your story. Next up, our penultimate one is Matthew Cordell, the maniac cop. In this story, a group of cops have brutally murdered a African American activist, and for essentially running for office. And these officers brutally kill him and blame him on another gang. However, their sins don't go unpunished, because this time around, Matthew Cordell is punishing them. He just shows up. Like, he's not like resurrected or anything. He's just comes to life and hunts them down, Tales from the Crypt style. Tales from the Crypt. I meant Crypt. Why did I say Crypt? I'm sure that's a story for a future Tales from the Hood story for those movies. Finally, we have Candyman. So in this story, the Matthew Cordell story was one called Law and Dismemberment. In this one, this story from Candyman is called Year One. This story is set a year after Daniel Robitaille's tragic death, where in here the white slave owners are, just enjoying their douchebaggery and, imposing their will on their slaves. However, one by one, their entitled children decide to make up a game of trying to summon Robitaille's ghost, leading to him coming back from the grave and killing these motherfuckers. So there you go, guys. That is my slasher one bad day story. Those are my slasher one bad day stories. You guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of them? And let me know what 8 slashers you do stories on for this kind of series. Once again, I'd like to thank Jason Voorhees 2011 for this Patreon request and continued patronage. And like I said before, if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, and hit the 4th tier. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the multiverse.